Hello, hello. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in. Hey, Laura, how you doing? It's a pretty chill one, just in terms of it'll be very informal, running through the insights, the best practices, some reasons why we want to do it, but also how you can do that if you do use the SentiSum platform, how you can get it from there. So I've been looking into this quite a lot from the support insights perspective, because of course kind of using Sentisome and sharing insights is something that we are big advocates for here at Sentisome, but trying to get the buy-in from other people as well and other departments can sometimes be difficult. So I've been trying to look into how to support you guys in fighting the good fight and getting the voice of the customer across. So here we go. I've got a few slides to share, and then we will jump into the platform, take a look at what we can get from there, and then just have a little chat and see what you are all thinking about it. Okay, perfect. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate your time. I've put in some things in this slide that hopefully will give you some things to think about when you are looking at customizing the support insights on the dashboard, whether you are doing it in Sentisome or whether you're doing it kind of elsewhere. I really hope that you have something to take away to help both champion the voice of the customer across the organization and influence decisions and influence change within the organization using the insights that customer support teams sit on, this goldmine of insights that can really help drive revenue and retention, contrary to what some businesses see support as. So my first question would be, from your perspective right now, customizing support insights, trying to get them across different areas of the business, what's the point? Why do you do that right now? And if you don't do that, or if you're trying to do that, why do you want to do that? I have a next slide where I've kind of broken it down into where I think is why, but I would love to just hear from you guys. Why is it important to customize and share the insights for different departments to drive action in the right areas? Laura, that's exactly action to make sure that the customer insights are relevant and constructive. Love that, Jordan. Relevant and constructive. Yeah, exactly. Like, these things are really important because, especially when customer support can be seen as a cost center, it is really important to tailor those insights that you get so that you are building relationships internally and providing relevant and actionable information to internal stakeholders. So this is the why that I've put together. Number one, we want to champion the voice of the customer. Number two, we want to drive meaningful change. We don't just want to throw numbers out there and hope something sticks. And we want to change perception of support. So again, we see a lot of people coming to us saying, we're just seen as a cost center, and we know that we're not. How do we push that and drive that forward to make sure that the business sees us for the insights that we have and we can get? And then number four is to foster brand advocacy. When you are listening to customers, when you are closing the loop, when you are providing the voice of the customer to the wider department, it filters and it drives about change internally, which is then reflected externally through customer feedback and word of mouth. So championing the voice of the customer. On the dashboard, we see that there's a quite close link here between sentiment and NPS. And customer gauge, I was looking through kind of various stats and things, and interestingly, a 10-point increase in NPS on average actually leads to 3.2% increase in profits. So by focusing on the insights gained from, say, a free text response from NPS, if you look at where people's pain points are, if you look at where you can double down on the good things that are happening within the organization, that can actually lead to an increase in profits. Something really great to tailor to senior leaders, senior stakeholders, people who will be driven very much, rightly so, by the bottom line. What is the bottom line? Why do I care about this? Why do I care about the voice of the customer? Because it can increase profits. And if you can show that, then you're already on your way. Driving meaningful change. So here we can see in this screenshot, the highest percent of tickets by Sentisome tag for customer support tickets for this demo data is what is delivery status, accounting for 14% of the overall tickets. A huge amount. And that's just stemming from an initial point of a lack of communication. You have to kind of work backwards from there and say, okay, 14% of customers are asking what their delivery status is. Why is that happening? Do we have enough communications going out to say at what stage the delivery is at? Do we need to work with external partners, external delivery partners, to try and make sure that they are effectively communicating? There's all these things. And Shannon Johnson, Director of Customer Support at Sprout Social, did a great podcast with us and said, if we're spending X amount of time supporting this specific part of the product, or in this case, of the process, customer journey, that equates to XYZ dollars over the course of a year. So again, we're coming back to, we quantify that and we say, to drive meaningful change, we need to show the impact, not just from a customer satisfaction standpoint, but also from a monetary and a revenue-driven standpoint to say, hey, 14% of support tickets are spent on this thing, which could be automated. That's costing us X amount in kind of attention from the support team. It creates an uneasy feeling in the customer to be asking these types of questions, to not know, which then for your brand doesn't foster that good sense of like, I've got your back kind of feeling, and it doesn't guide people towards that brand advocacy that we do want. Changing perception of support. We hear that support is seen as a cost center. It's unfortunate because I think we all know that it's not a cost center. At least it doesn't have to be. It will be if there is, say, poor service. As is seen here, 90% of customers leave due to poor service. It's a very high number that you see repeated in various studies where it's like 80% wouldn't return to a company if they had had a poor experience. Even scarier, don't remember the origins of this, so apologies, I can try and find and share afterwards, but 1 in 26 customers will complain about a bad experience, leaving a very scary flip side of 25 out of 26 won't even complain. They'll just leave, which really, if you think about it from that perspective, changes how a support ticket looks. If you look at it as like, okay, this one support ticket about this thing is actually impacting a lot of other people who are probably not even going to say anything, and they're just going to leave, or they're just going to find a different product or solution. And that's how perception of support could be, that it is a cost center. But I think if you kind of flip the script a little bit, these are the percentage of customers who would actually pay for a better experience. So when we look at it that way, 86% of people surveyed here said they would pay for a better experience. So that means it is actually like literally a revenue driver. If you are saying like our service is part of the product, our very good service, our very good support is part of the product, that's actually adding extra revenue, and you can quantify that, and people can kind of go about that in different ways. A common way is to just offer kind of like an extra level, like a VIP level, and see how much extra people would pay for that. And then if that's the case, it's like, okay, how do we scale this? Fostering brand advocacy. So thank you, McDonald's Trustpilot reviews, for these examples here. 30% of consumers would post a negative review online. So this comes back to that 1 in 26 would complain. A few of those 25 maybe wouldn't complain directly to you, but would leave a negative review online, would leave negative comments on social media. And there's different stats about kind of word of mouth as well, where maybe they won't say anything online, anything to you directly, but will mention in word of mouth, like if somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about buying this product to a friend, they might say, oh no, I had a really bad experience with that. This happened. I'd look elsewhere. Like those types of things can be really impactful in ways that we're not even fully able to quantify. McDonald's example here would be shocking service, plenty of stuff in the kitchen, talking, not working, leaving food exposed to go cold. This was a snippet of a very long paragraph regarding an Exeter McDonald's. But 49% would post a positive review, which is higher and means that support can help to foster that brand advocacy. It's not a scary thing if people come to you, and even if they have a problem, it's generally that, and there's lots of, again, stats out there to support the fact that even if they're coming to you with a problem, it is generally that if they have a good experience and they can see that you're trying to solve it, they're still going to have a positive experience, despite the reason for coming to you being inherently negative. This one's just a nice one. Lady called Mary gave my dog a cup of whipped cream. She loved it. That was so sweet, which is little things that you can do during the customer journey that will have an impact on someone. So, how do we do this? How do we drive these types of change? How do we get the insights to different departments so that they can start seeing the benefits? They can start seeing support as a revenue driver. They can start seeing how these insights can help foster brand advocacy. And then in turn, the support leaders and people like yourselves to reduce the tickets that you have to process, to remove the negativity that comes with support sometimes in terms of kind of people being frustrated and angry, but turning that into a positive experience where people feel supported and helped due to the investment going in to support. And we do that in Sentisome, which I will jump to now. In the dashboard, we got a few pages. I think a few of you will be quite familiar with this already, but this is a summary of support insights. My demo data here is support and NPS dashboards. And what I'm going to be focusing on mostly today is the latest feature that we've added, which is the Your Dashboard section. So the summary is just going to summarize one of your sources here. We can look at volume, highest volume, top increases, decreases. That's great. We can discover, deep dive into it, look at every single conversation, look at some of the common words and phrases people are saying within tickets, but not today. Today, we are going to jump into your dashboards. And my question to everybody at the minute, so if you do have access to Sentisome, have you been able to use these dashboards? How have you found it so far? I have set up a few here and honestly, I've loved it. And if you haven't, that's okay, because I'm going to set up another one of these here for, say, operations or something once we've deep dived into what each of them are and what you can do with them. Here are my 3 that are set up. We all agree we've got to tailor the insights to the various areas of the business. There's 3 key things that I think we should be doing. It's knowing our audience, whether that be marketing, whether that be product, service, success, anything, knowing our audience, not just on a kind of departmental level, but also a stakeholder level. So if you showed this marketing dashboard to the CMO, does it make sense? Like, are they going to care? If you said, here's all of these queries, potentially not. So then you need to tailor the insights based on your audience and tell a story. And I think that is something that is really, really key. Like, what is the story? Why should the CMO or the head of marketing care about these support tickets? What's the story there? And if we take a look here, we can see, well, actually, website not working queries have gone up by 60% compared to the previous period. So in the last month, we've had 1,062 people tell us that the website isn't working. So that is something that marketing might need to look at and see, like, hey, have we got broken links? Is there something going on here that we need to look into? Something that is really good for NPS, which can then be fed back to marketing in a positive way. Website usability up 30% in terms of sentiment. And we know that high sentiment links to high NPS. Website usability is actually 95% positive. So that's really good. So the usability, like when the website is working, people have a really good experience, but we just got to make sure that everything is working properly, whether that's upgrading servers or making sure that there are no kind of old broken links and things, all of that stuff. So really looking into this and building this out and trying to tell a story to the various departments and why they should care about it. The reason that it's going to benefit customer support is because you're going to be reducing the amount of tickets. You're going to be spending a lot less time on things that could be solved by addressing the root cause rather than kind of papering over with whatever kind of solutions we have to come up with at the time. And my question is to everybody, how do you do this at the minute? Do you have monthly calls with various departments? Is it leaders? Do you have to provide data to the leaders who then go and discuss? Is there that element of storytelling, or is it cold, hard numbers? Like, how do you do this at the minute? How do you share these insights across different departments? Bi-weekly analysis, bi-monthly meeting, call to agree project actions. Awesome. And that's across all departments, or do you have kind of a support department meeting and then a brave soul goes and gives them to all the other areas of the business? Just 4 key departments. Gotcha. Cool. I think it does depend on your rhythm of business. It depends on how bought in the company is to customer insights. But if they aren't, things like this can be really powerful to present to people who are maybe a little more skeptical and you're just dealing with issues that are going on a day-to-day, and that's that. You can actually get something really, really actionable out of this. Even discounts here, NPS. This is discount NPS drivers. This is quite low. So surprising that somebody who should be having a good time because they are getting a discount to a product is actually only 30% of the time having a positive experience with that. So why is that? How can the marketing department take this feedback and say, maybe we need to look at these responses. Maybe we need to dig into, like, why is discount not working here? Why are people often requesting a discount? Is it because they're being rejected for a discount? Do we need to make the rules a little bit clearer? All of those types of things are available in the dashboard, and it's just a case of presenting it to the right people, the right departments in a way that is going to make sense and be understood. And these dashboards are that step towards it. Some people will get all departments on it and will build these dashboards like this and just say, okay, product, here you go. Here's a product dashboard. You are accountable for that. You take a look at that. And some we know just like to take the insights themselves and bring them to those key meetings to share with others. So this is the marketing one. You can also take a look at product. So if we wanted to, again, look at just a slightly bigger time range, support tickets overall have a 21% sentiment towards the product. So that's not great. The way that I've done this, if I just quickly take a look, anything with product related, I can see that's coming in here. I can add different ones if I wanted to and update the report, but I can see right now it's 21%. Support will often skew negative because of the way that support is. Somebody's coming to you with a problem. The difference is how it's handled. So if it is handled well, it could actually be a positive experience because that person feels heard. They feel like action is being taken and something is being done to solve the problem. So yeah, this dashboard here for product, sentiment towards product over time. Top product support queries. So even though everything is down, this is actually quite a lot. We can see damaged product is the top volume here for product related issues. So of course, it makes sense that sentiment is at 21% because loads of people are complaining that what they received was damaged. So it's then a case of the product team coming in and saying, okay, I need to then look in the discover page. I need to look in the summary page. I need to really get to the root of why are things arriving damaged? Like what types of things? You can also, of course, build out those DIY tags, look for specific products if you're finding hints within the tickets, like all of those types of things. Just meaning that in the next month, if you identify the cause of this damaged product issue, support tickets are going to go down. You're going to be able to track that and you're going to be able to then feed that back to the product team to say, hey, remember when you found out that X product was arriving damaged to a big number of customers? Now that you've fixed it, now that this is no longer happening, we've seen a reduction of X% in support tickets regarding damaged product. And that feels really good as well for support to lighten the load, for product to know that they're having an impact. It's wins all around. So it's really good to share these insights with the key people. We can also see here, I just widen my date range. We can look at NPS. So when we're in summary, we look at each dashboard individually. This brings all of these together to create that report view so that you can provide this to the various departments if you need to. So NPS, product-related responses. Value for money is at 81% sentiment. It's the lowest out of all of the kind of product-related ones. So value for money is something from a product perspective you want to look in and see like, okay, those 19%, why did they not think that it was good value for money? How could we win those over and try and bump that up, which then will lead to a higher NPS score. Similarly, sentiment decreases in support. So these are the top product-related sentiment decreases. We can see these sit really, really low, down 15%. People asking about the return and exchange status. That's something that can definitely be automated. So a lot coming over here across the NPS and support dashboards to hopefully build that picture for the product perspective. Patrick says, we deliver to our department. If we have actionable insights outside, then they are looped in depending on strength of data. That's a really good point as well. The strength of the data is huge. And I think that's where having something where there is that single source of truth like Sentisome, where you can say, okay, I'm bringing in NPS, I'm bringing in support, I'm bringing in CSAT, any kind of source that I have where the customer gives free text that AI can then analyze and generate these Sentisome tags and these insights, I think is pretty huge, to be honest. Really just having that single source of truth is something that I know literally every department struggles with from a customer success perspective. Data integrity in the CRM, we all have the same issues. It's just making sure that you trust the data. And that's why I think having this is so cool, because the data's there. You just let people loose, essentially. Slight tangent, but anyway, thank you, Patrick. That's really great. Product dashboard, marketing dashboard, customer service dashboard. So again, this is all the same data. We're just slicing it and dicing it in different ways. So we're looking now at the top drivers of negative sentiment for customer support. Requesting a callback is at 14% sentiment. Out of interest, how many of you find that people are asking to speak to a real person, or like if you have a chat bot or if you have some kind of automated responses, do people often request kind of a callback? Do they ask to speak to a live human? Out of interest here, because I've been seeing a lot about this, and I know that it does seem to be a point of contention for customer support and service. So like, how do we present that data to other departments or to stakeholders who might say, hey, we can replace XYZ with a bot and save money? It's not always going to be the case, and it can do more harm than good, because if people are having, again, a negative experience with the bot, how do you make sure that those people are being retained? Demographic is older. We do get more calls than anything else. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So yeah, I think calls are something as well that we like. It's not part of this data, but it's definitely something, again, that can be processed and pulled in. What you'll often see, Jenny, if you pull in voice calls, is you'll have a ticket that is years long, and then it will just have like 8 Sentisome tags attached to it, because it's a whole conversation. So you're covering a lot of the different issues that this person's facing, which is really interesting. And again, that kind of data, if that's where you need to be due to the way that people use and interact with your product, having the data to back that up, or having data to say, well, are there any ways that we can make this easier? Or if it's an older customer base, how can we be clear? If it's a really simple thing, like forgot a password or something like that, why does somebody feel the need to phone or get in touch with us rather than just being able to do it themselves? How do we make it as easy as possible? So yeah, I think the insights will often need to be tailored to get buy-in, sometimes even internally from senior leaders within your own team. If you're using it and if you're seeing something in the data and you're like, oh, I feel like we can fix this, but I don't have the authority to buy this new tool or to ask these guys on this team to make this change. If you can build a solid case and present it in a data-driven way, telling the story and telling the impact that you believe that it will have, then why would anyone say no? Awesome. So customer service dashboard, 14% sentiment for request callback. Support response as well. So 25% sentiment here for the support response. Only 25% of people in this case were happy with the response that they got from support. You flip that, 75% are negative or neutral. So this as something to look at for these particular responses. Why were they not happy? Customer support NPS sentiment, we can see here, that's 88% overall. So that's pretty good. That's not bad at all. It just in a kind of a small amount here, the support response. Feedback was not great. Again, people are more likely here to be telling you the negative within a support ticket. Out of these kind of like 75% of people saying that they had a negative experience, how many are not? So how do you get the learnings from this to, even within the support team, maybe do some training, internal training, try and make sure that the knowledge center, the help center is up to scratch, both for customers, but also for internal users as well, who can then go through and effectively respond to the customers and make sure that they are giving all of the right information that they possibly can. I've also put down here self-serve opportunities, because sometimes these things take buy-in from different departments as well. If marketing or if customer success is managing the documentation available for customers or the customer-facing communications, how do you show it is worth putting time in to make sure that people can self-serve within your platform, within their accounts, if they're looking at their orders, all of that kind of stuff. What is delivery status here is 708 support tickets, which seems wild to me. There's a couple of things there. I mean, overall, it's actually the biggest number of support tickets. It's 14% of the overall tickets. So what is going to change if you are able to fix this? Like, who do you need to go to with this information? If it's marketing, you can take this and say, hey, 14% of our tickets is what is delivery status. How do we make sure that in our customer communications, they know this is where they find their delivery status? If you have to go to operations, same thing. And then quantifying it. What is the benefit of this? How much time, how much money is going to be saved by support agents then being able to respond to things that do require kind of like very delicate expertise to keep that experience positive? Order not delivered, damaged product. That's something that has come from your business to the customer and it has not been good enough. That requires a very delicate balance to make sure that the person on the other end of that still has a positive experience with customer support, which they are less likely to be able to do, spending time on things like this, which may well be out of their control. Presenting this data, again, like wrapping it up, saying, okay, here is the impact, here is the revenue. You can calculate the per hour cost of support agents and say, this is how much time this takes up, this is how much money this takes up. Please can this department speak to our external providers and say, you are costing us money. You need to do better here. If not, we will take our services elsewhere, and why that's a benefit. All of these things, again, just found from these reports on the various dashboards for various departments. Speaking of operations, it's very different for different businesses, but I think I'll do a new dashboard now for operations and logistics, just to show you guys how you can set this up for your own data, for everything coming through on your side. So again, you can filter, you can build out these dashboards based off of all of the data that you have across all the different dashboards. So I'm just going to call this one operations and logistics. Create a new report. This is very exciting. So operations and logistics. What do I want to say to operations and to logistics? I want to tell them how many Sentisum tags relating to operations and logistics. So requesting a refund could be requesting a replacement. All of this kind of stuff. Placing order in order confirmation, refund and not receive, delayed delivery, unable to return process. You guys get the picture. I'm not going to add everything because that's going to make for a very boring watch, but I'll pop these in here. And then what I'm actually going to do, I want it to have the most impact. So When I'm looking at volume, I'm like 708. Okay, what does that mean? Again, I'm trying to tell a story. So I'm going to change this to percent of tickets. So now a lot more impactful. What is delivery status? 14% of tickets. Order not delivered. 8.4% of tickets. Why is that happening? Like, that's really important if a product is supposed to be delivered. Why are 8.5% of people not getting it? So I'm going to call this percentage of operations and logistics related support tickets. Okay, there we go. So I've added that to my dashboard. Great. Now what I also want to see, the story that I'm trying to tell is, okay, that's how many there are. What is the impact of that? Why should they care? So what we'll do here is now we'll actually look at sentiment. And we'll say, and I'm not going to remember the ones that I got, so I'm just going to do a few different ones here. Please just imagine these are all the exact same as they were on the other one. And here we go, sentiment. Sentiment of operations and logistics related support tickets. Here we go. Okay. 14% of our tickets have a 32% overall sentiment. So that's a huge amount of tickets to have a rather low sentiment. And given that sentiment does impact NPS and tracks quite closely with NPS, we know that that's not great. And given that if we can add 10 points to our NPS score, we could potentially increase revenue by an average of 3 point something %, then it's something to really look into and really kind of dive down deep into. We can support that here with some NPS data. So I just look at the last 28 days. Okay, great. Courier. People having issues with the courier, with the returns. These are big deals. So what I'm going to do, order process, ease of payment, delivery cost, courier. And what was the other one that was there that I now can't see? Delivery options, wrong item sent. Not great. Tracking of orders. All right, we've added that. Cool. We can also look at the negative drivers. So these are going to be the ones with the lowest sentiment, and courier is really low. So we can add that. Oh, need to title it. Top negative drivers, NPS, O and L. Obviously, I'm putting this in here. You don't really need to. It's on a dashboard called Operations and Logistics, but I'm a bit of a freak when it comes to organization. So I can add that there. And then if we go last 28 days, let's have a little look. Okay, so what is delivery status? Order not delivered. At the top there, courier is a negative driver, a really negative driver of NPS. So that is definitely something that I would say operations and logistics, whoever owns that for this data, for this fictional company that I am enraged for and I'm gonna go and tell them about after, I would say focus on the courier and the delivery issues that you're having, because if you can eliminate this, which is almost 25% of your overall support tickets, that's going to be huge, not only for your support team to allow them the time to focus on the things that they can control, but to make sure that you are getting a fair deal from the courier and the external provider that you're working with. If they're not up to scratch, show them. Say, here's how you are impacting us as a business. We need to see improvements. Like, how are you going to improve this? So that is something that you can do, and that's kind of like how you would build a dashboard here for the operations and logistics team that I've just kind of done here. There are obviously lots of different other things, and again, it comes back to telling the story. I think if we just jump in here to take a quick look at this slide, some of the key takeaways that I thought would be really nice to think through here is knowing your audience. So is it marketing? Is it product? Is it operations, logistics? Is it your own team? Like, who is the audience? Tailoring the insights. So what do they care about? What do you care about that is having an impact from something that is being done in that department or by that department? And then telling a story. So how do you make someone else care about that? Because you see it every day. You see it in the support tickets, you see it in the support team. You know what's happening. The data is just there to back you up, really. And however you get that data, it is just there to support you and say, hey, here is the really tangible impact that is being had by the way that we're currently doing things. I don't know if you've checked out any of our case studies, but we do have a few on the Sentisome website, which we'll be able to just walk through how other people have done it as well, if you're looking at how other customers have done it. But one of our customers has actually, from looking at their own processes and saying, hey, this is inefficient. We are overwhelming ourselves as a team by automating where we can and not looking and seeing, like, where can we be efficient? How do we prioritize a little better? And by doing that, reduced first reply time by 46%, resolution time by 51%, and increased customer satisfaction by 11%. Compound that with any of the marketing feedback you can give. Hey, people didn't like this campaign because they thought it was misleading. Or to product, hey, there's a bug in the account section. People are unable to change their address details. People are unable to do this. Please, can you fix it? Those types of things all start to add up, and they seem obvious to us, but to others, maybe not so much. So having that data and having that story to tell them, to get them to care about it is the key, I think, that I would like everybody to take away from this. Does anybody have any questions? I will be here in the chat if you do. And if you would like to provide feedback about the dashboards, if you do try and give it a go in building, you can pop in here and send us a message and we can get back to you on that as well. Any feedback you have is really, really useful for us because it does help us develop this whole section. This whole thing here is based off of our customers' feedback who said, hey, this is great. Seeing the summary of support is great, but actually I can't link it to NPS because I have to do this. I have to switch between. So we were like, don't worry about it. We've got this and kind of put this together based off of that feedback. So you can see your NPS dashboard next to your support dashboard in the most impactful way possible. Thanks so much. You're very welcome, Patrick. No problem. Jenny, that was super helpful. Absolutely. No, not at all. I will be here for the next 5 or 10 minutes if anybody does want to stay and ask a question and chat. But otherwise, please feel free to drop off, get some minutes back in your day and drink some water. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much. Margarita, where can we find the recording? It will be sent to you after. And yeah, if you are on the recording right now, if you have any questions, please do pop us an email. If you're in the dashboard, pop us a little question here. We will answer it as soon as we possibly can. Thank you so much to everybody for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Send us any questions, send us any feedback that you have, and take care.